Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, made her MCU debut in Iron Man 2 back in 2010. 11 years later, they finally made a Black Widow movie. All you need is an Oscar-caliber actress like Scarlett Johansson, female assassins that look like Victoria's Secret models, a handful of gratuitous close-up butt shots, throw in some comedy, combat, and explosions, and bam! You got yourself a Black Widow movie. Black Widow. So this video was requested by one of my subscribers, Jimmy, and Jimmy writes, so Black Widow came out in theaters and Disney+. Would you recommend I watch it on the big screen? Thanks for writing in, Jimmy, and for giving me an excuse to talk about this film. Now, for those of you wondering how to submit a review request to me, it's just 2 easy steps. Just hit the subscribe button below and simply write your request in the comments. And maybe I choose your request for my next video. With that said, let's talk about Black Widow. Spoiler free, of course. The last time we had an MCU film was Spider-Man Far From Home in 2019. And since the events of this film takes place between Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War, this naturally makes the Black Widow movie a prequel film. And let's not forget what happened to Black Widow in Avengers Endgame. It's okay. And because of that, I think this movie should have come out in 2016 or 2017. But better late than never, right?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Like Jimmy mentioned in his request, Black Widow had both a theatrical release as well as on Disney+, but behind a $30 to $35 paywall for premiere access. The price varies depending on which country you're in. Directed by Kate Shortland, Marvel gives us its second action spy thriller with Scarlett Johansson playing our lead character. When they first announced they were going to make this movie, I thought, seriously, they're going to make a standalone film with an Avenger with no superpowers? Even though I thought she had an interesting backstory, the idea of a Black Widow movie sounded like it might be a little boring. Oh man, I was dead wrong. Her backstory is explored when a conspiracy that's directly tied to her past finally catches up with her. Not since Captain America: The Winter Soldier have we had the MCU dabble in the spy and espionage genre. But Black Widow adds other ingredients in the overall recipe with themes of family, predominantly sisterhood, abandonment, and overcoming oppression. And the marketing really did a great job selling this film to me. The thing that hooked me was that clip of her when she was free falling. But it's not to say that this film didn't come with any flaws, starting with its sporadic tone, mainly with its use of humor. More often than not, a lot of dramatic scenes were cut short by some comedy relief. Don't get me wrong, I love the comedy in MCU movies, but just when this film's getting to the heart of an emotional scene, we're robbed of a dramatic payoff after being interrupted by humor. I'm not saying that all humor should be taken out from this movie. All I'm saying is that there's a time and a place. It's like being told a really funny joke while you're at a funeral.
Shaking that ass, making it pound, set you on freedom forever.
It's all about timing, folks. I wish they stretched out those dramatic scenes a little longer because there's some really strong performances behind them. But instead we get something serious, then we get a joke, serious, joke, serious.
Joke, 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 joke.
Joke, joke.
The comedy was funny, it was just the timing that didn't work for me. Some of it was seamless, and other times were pretty abrupt, leaving me like... But the movie's most glaring flaw are its villains.
What?
I swear, for every MCU movie I've reviewed, all I've done was complain about their villains. And sadly, this film is no exception.
What?
For me, Taskmaster is the definition of cool concept, failed in execution.
Oh my fucking god. It didn't go through, so that's a plus side.
Taskmaster is essentially a killing machine that studied and adopted all the Avengers' fighting styles. Very one note, not at all fleshed out, and a pretty far departure from its comic book origins. And the main villain, Dreykov, played by Ray Winston, is even worse than Taskmaster. We don't see much of him because he's more the type that calls the shots from the shadows. And we soon find that he's nothing but a stereotypical mustache-twirling villain with plans for world domination. Seriously, a child could have written this character. And it's a damn shame too, because Ray Winston is a fantastic actor denigrated to playing what's easily one of the most forgettable villains in the MCU. So yeah, Taskmaster and Dreykov, wasted potential.
I have to say, I am so impressed with the potential you see in me. Yeah.
Now, where this movie won me over was the family dynamic. Of course, as we've seen from the trailers, we have Scarlett at the dining table with her family, played by Rachel Weisz, David Harbour, and Florence Pugh. Watching the chemistry between these four characters was such a blast. I could seriously watch an entire 2-hour movie with these four just hanging out at home.
Natasha, don't slouch.
I'm not slouching.
You're going to get a back hunch.
Listen to your mother.
Oh my God, this...
Up,
All right, enough. All of you.
I didn't say anything.
It wasn't all laughs either. There was drama and tension and some heartfelt moments that reminds me of how good the MCU is at making us care about characters they've literally just introduced within the same film. We sadly don't see Rachel Weisz get as much screen time as everyone else, but safe to say, she did a really great job. I mean, it's Rachel Weisz. Did we expect anything less?
You got fat.
It's mainly water weight.
But the absolute standouts here are David Harbour as Alexei and Florence Pugh as Yelena. Alexei was brute strength with a heart and charm to him that helped enhance a lot of the silliness he brought on screen. While Florence Pugh's performance really elevated every scene she was in. She can be funny.
My plan was to drive us away.
Well, your plan sucks.
Deadly.
Here you are.
And she knows when to bring the feels. Of course, Scarlett Johansson brought a solid performance. She and her stunt double were really put to the test in this film. There was a fight sequence here that was almost reminiscent of what you'd expect to see in a Jason Bourne movie. Shaky cam was used, yes, but it never took away from the experience because I always knew exactly what each character was doing and where they were positioned. There's some questionable editing in certain segments of the film, but the editing truly sung during the fight sequences.
Out of your mind? Let's throw some Jell-O on them.
Now let's talk about the prologue of this film. It was heartwarming, action-packed, and heartbreaking all at the same time. The whole sequence felt like it went from 0 to 100 at a drop of a hat, but in all the best ways possible. It was unpredictable and made my jaw drop a couple of times. Here's a fun fact. The girl who played young Natasha was brilliantly portrayed by Eva Anderson and is actually Mila Jovovich's daughter in real life. This child actor's performance made the prologue as good as it is. This goes without saying, but Scarlett Johansson was fantastic in this film. I really hope this isn't the last time we see her in the MCU. I could be wrong here, and correct me guys in the comments if I am, but I don't think she's re-upped her contract with Disney and Marvel. I really hope she will, because I feel like there's more story to tell when it comes to Natasha Romanoff, and I hope we do get a sequel. All I'm saying is, I'm not ready to say goodbye to this character yet.
That's not my story.
Now there are a handful of close-up butt shots here. One part of me thinks this is gratuitous and unnecessary. The other part thinks it's integral to the story and definitely necessary.
Damn right.
But let's be honest here, it's only the second best butt in the MCU. You know who the first is, right?
That is America's ass.
Now before I share my final thoughts, just a friendly reminder to click like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on my future videos. And if you like my content, I want you to become one of my valued subscribers by supporting this channel on Patreon, simply at patreon.com/Peter Pablo Reviews, just like these Patreon legends right here. You'll also find the link in the description below. And now for my final thoughts.
Please don't do that.
Starting with the lows, we've got a sporadic tone and underwhelming villains. And as for the highs, we've got an entertaining family dynamic, David Harbour and Florence Pugh were easily the standouts, and a captivating prologue.
I couldn't be more proud of you.
So overall, I have to say that I came in skeptical of this movie, but I walked out thinking,
I want some more.
the film has a lot more redeeming qualities, which outweighs its flaws. It's currently got a Rotten Tomatoes score of 80% with a runtime of 2 hours and 14 minutes. And because it's an MCU movie, expect a post-credit scene. There's no mid-credit scene here, so if you've overloaded yourself with drinks during the film, you can quickly go to the bathroom and still make it back in time for the end credit scene. Otherwise, just pee in a cup. Now, did I walk out of the theater thinking this is one of the best MCU movies ever? No. Not the strongest entry in the MCU tapestry, but still a solid movie and a fun watch. Even though I don't think this is top shelf MCU, I'm happy to say that this is not in the lower tier of the not so great MCU movies. Between the two female-led MCU films, the other being Captain Marvel, Black Widow is the better film. Will I add this to my 4K Blu-ray collection? Absolutely. And yes, Jimmy, I do recommend you see this on the big screen. If you live in a part of the world where you're in hard lockdown and you have no other choice, then see it on Disney+. But if you're out of lockdown and theaters are open, then definitely see this on the big screen. Bring the whole family. If you have a daughter, show her this movie so she has another female superhero she can look up to. Because Black Widow is the superhero I can definitely get behind. So, have you seen Black Widow yet? Would you say it's better than Captain Marvel? And where do you rank it in the list of MCU films? I've shared my thoughts, now I want to hear yours. And remember guys, I take review requests, so smash that subscribe button and leave me a comment. And who am I, you ask? I'm Spider-Man. Bye for now.
Did you just leave your clothes on the kitchen floor?
Are you the type of person that loves to touch things? Well, how about you stop touching yourself for a second and touch this to subscribe to my channel. So that way, you don't miss out on my future videos. But what about my videos from the past? Well, here you go. Bye!